What up? Day 2. Talking points for today. Going to be about my decision making and coming up with the name Never Idle. And then just going to go over a few areas of my initial logo exploration. So, backstory on how I came up with the name Never Idle. I initially was thinking I could use my last name, Piva, just because it sounded unique, but it just, after trying to come up with some designs around it and thinking about it a little more, I felt like it was the easy way out of using Sam Piva design, and I wanted something that had a little more story behind it and substance to it. And so Never Idle wasn't really, I can't even remember where I was when I came up with it, but I know when I was thinking of coming up with the name, I wanted something that people could get behind, and something that I wanted it to be cool. I wanted it to sound good and have a nice ring to it, and then obviously something that I could expand in branding that would have a cool aesthetic to it. And so Never Idle, I think, just for myself, is I almost used it as like, if Sam, if you use Never Idle, you can never idle. You have to stand behind the name, and so I think that definitely was a big factor in just going along with this name. But I also felt that it worked really well because as a creative, if you're static, you're gonna lose your touch, and you gotta stay sharp. And so I think that's also something a client can hear, or they can see it and be interested and possibly just understand my mindset right off the bat, and my work ethic. And there's really not much more to that. I just think it embodied, actually, I take that back. I have a lot of history in the automotive culture, and so I did actually, and I'm still trying to figure out ways to tie that part of my life into this, which is kind of why I was thinking calling it, the Never Idle Design a creative shop, sort of like take your car to a mechanic or a garage or a shop, something like that. And with that, I think that's also what helped my direction in my initial logo exploration, because I wanted something simple, and I just wanted to use the name as the logo, but do something with the typeface or whatever design I came up with that had a sense of motion to it, and forward momentum, because I feel like that gives a positive vibe, and it's fast looking, which is cool as well. And so that's the backstory on the name Never Idle. And then, so now I'll show you some examples and kind of talk through my initial exploration for the logo, even though it's not finished, just initial thoughts. Okay, so here's a flash sheet of my initial logo exploration, and I started with the typeface homunculus. I believe that's how you say that. But as I was saying, I wanted something that was bold, definitely cool looking, and had a little bit of sense of motion to it. Obviously, I wasn't just going to use this right here, but I thought that, you know, the stems had a nice sense of motion top and bottom of the typeface to build from, and so, you know, I talked about italicizing earlier to have a sense of motion and you know, momentum to the name, and so as you can see on this one, kind of italicize it a little bit, but as I'm doing that, the kerning is getting a little too tight, so that's what I'm still kind of working on. And then as I kind of kept messing around, had some ideas for, well, maybe I should call it the Nice Co. for Never Idle Creative Engine to play off the car theme a little more, but you know, I just went back to the thought of keeping it simple and having a nice sense of motion to the name. And then I went back to the italicized, but I did it a little more, and to some it might be too aggressive, but you know, I think it just, to me, it fits and it works. I gotta tweak a few things, but that's where we're at with this one right now. This is where we're basing our design off of. And once I settled on that, you know, and started messing around with some comps on my Instagram, I realized that because it has these areas right in here, even though things are center aligned under it, it doesn't actually seem that way optically, and even though it's probably mathematically aligned, but that's why I added this box here, because I felt like it kind of gave it more of a base to live on and more structured feeling. And so that's what I am currently at right now with my primary logo. My secondary logo, I kind of wanted to create something that was you know, like almost a cool little brand mark, and so I started with the N, and then kind of played off the motion of those arms right here, and extended them into this circle, and because I wanted to once again play on that sense of motion, forward momentum, but I once again wasn't totally convinced with that idea, that circle one, and so I elongated the arms and extended the stem, and started something was there that I felt something was there, and so once again felt that it needed a base to live on, because it felt kind of thin, and I wanted it to be bold. And so this is really the mark that I ended up going with for my secondary one. And then as you can see here, this is where we're at with the logo, the primary and the secondary, and then possibly, you know, being able to play with some color in there. You know, I think there's a lot of options and interesting things that can happen there, whether it's imagery behind showing through or just color for different areas of the company, you know. So that is my process behind that. You know, this is the first time I'm speaking about it, so bear with me because it's probably coming off a little sketchy, but yeah, I think these kind of seem like a good family, and they're believable to me. If you look at my Instagram and some of my posts from a few weeks ago, you can see some compositions that I've came up with just to try to get a feeling for how these can work together. And yeah, I will definitely be coming back to this in later videos, but that's what we've got right now.